What if I told you that Jasmy coin is about to make one final drop before exploding 40% to the upside? And what if this drop isn't something to fear, but actually the exact setup we've been waiting for? Stay with me because in the next few minutes I'm going to break down a chart analysis from a top crypto analyst that could change everything you think you know about Jasmy's next move. And trust me, you do not want to miss this setup. Alright crypto family, let's talk about Jasmy coin. This thing has been absolutely brutal lately. We're talking about a token that was flying high above 5 cents back in late 2024, and now it's sitting at a measly $0.016. That's a drop that would make even the strongest diamond hands question everything. But here's the thing, and this is where it gets interesting. Sometimes the biggest drops create the biggest opportunities. And according to crypto analyst Crypto Patel, who has over 73,000 followers tracking his every move, Jasmy might be setting up for something massive. Now before we dive deep into this analysis, let me paint you the full picture of what we're dealing with here. Jasmy has been in absolute freefall mode. We're looking at one of those classic altcoin beatdowns that either destroys portfolios or creates millionaires. There's really no in-between in this game, but here's what caught my attention. Despite this brutal price action, Jasmy still has one of the most dedicated communities in crypto. These holders aren't just diamond handing, they're actively accumulating, betting that when alt season finally arrives, Jasmy is going to be one of those coins that absolutely explodes. And you know what? They might be onto something, because what Crypto Patel just shared could be the roadmap we've all been waiting for, but, and this is crucial, it's not going to be a straight line up. In fact, we might need to go down first before we can moon. Let me break down this chart setup for you because this is where things get really interesting. Crypto Patel is showing us that Jasmy could first pull back to the $0.0139 level. Now this isn't just any random level. This is what he's calling a weekly order block demand zone. For those who don't know technical analysis, this is basically a price level where institutional buyers and smart money tend to step in aggressively. Think of it like this. Imagine you're at an auction, and there's this one bidder who always shows up when the price hits a certain level. That's essentially what a demand zone represents. It's where the big players consistently show their hand. Now here's where it gets sophisticated. Patel isn't just calling for a random bounce, he's predicting what we call a liquidity sweep. This is when price drops below a key level to trigger stop losses and shake out weak hands, only to immediately reverse and shoot higher. It's like a fake-out move. The market makers push price down just enough to grab all that liquidity from panicked sellers, and then bam, they reverse it hard in the opposite direction. If you've ever felt like the market is specifically targeting your stop loss, well, you're probably not wrong. Once we get that bounce from $0.0139, Patel is looking at a U-shaped recovery pattern. The first target? Back up to those July highs around 2 cents. That alone would be a 25% move from current levels. But it doesn't stop there. He's got additional targets at $0.02081 and even $0.022. If Jasmy hits that top target from the $0.0139 entry, we're looking at approximately a 58% gain. That's the kind of move that can seriously change your portfolio allocation. What I love about this setup is the risk-to-reward ratio. If you're entering at $0.0139 with a stop loss slightly below, your risk is minimal compared to the potential upside to $0.022. This is what professional traders call a high-probability, high-reward setup. But here's the key, and Patel emphasizes this. You need patience. You need to wait for that tap at $0.0139. Don't FOMO in at current levels. Let the market come to you. Now let's talk about the psychology behind this move because understanding market sentiment is just as important as reading charts. Jasmy has been one of the most volatile altcoins in the entire crypto market. And when I say volatile, I mean volatile. This thing moves like it's got rocket fuel in its tank, both up and down. But here's what's fascinating. Despite getting absolutely demolished from those 5 cents highs, the Jasmy community hasn't capitulated. These holders are still here, still accumulating, still believing in the fundamentals of the project. And historically, this is exactly the kind of sentiment divergence that creates explosive moves. When price is making lower lows but community conviction remains strong, you often get these violent reversals that catch everyone off guard. There's another element here that we can't ignore. Alt season. We've been waiting for it, talking about it, and many believe it's just around the corner. When alt season finally arrives, it's not going to lift all boats equally. The coins with the strongest communities and the most compelling technical setups are going to be the ones that absolutely rock it. Jasmy checks both boxes. Strong community? Absolutely. Compelling technical setup according to a respected analyst? That's what we're discussing right here. So how do we play this if you're interested in the setup? Let me walk you through the execution strategy step by step. First, you wait. I know that's not what anyone wants to hear in a market where FOMO is constant, but patience is your friend here. You're watching for that pullback to $0.0139. That's your entry zone. Your stop loss should be set slightly below the weekly order block, maybe around $0.0135 or $0.013. This gives you a tight risk parameter while still allowing for normal market noise. For targets, you've got multiple levels to work with. First target at $0. 0.2, that's where you might want to take some profits. Second target at $0.02081. And if this thing really runs, $0.022 is your moonshot target. This is crucial. Only risk what you can afford to lose. Jasmy is still a speculative altcoin play, and even the best technical setups can fail. A 2 to 3% portfolio allocation is probably the sweet spot for most people. Now let's be real about the risks here, because I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for you. First, this pullback to $0.0139 might not happen. If Jasmy reverses from current levels, you might miss the move entirely while waiting for the perfect entry. Second, even if we do get the pullback, there's no guarantee of a bounce. Markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, and Jasmy could potentially break below that weekly order block and continue falling. Third, alt season itself is not guaranteed. If Bitcoin continues to struggle or if we get broader market concerns, altcoins like Jasmy could remain under pressure regardless of technical setups. Look, here's my take on this whole Jasmy situation. Crypto Patel has laid out a compelling technical case for a potential 40% plus rally, but it requires patience and precise execution. If you're interested in this play, mark $0.0139 on your charts and wait for the market to come to you. Don't chase it at current levels. Let the setup develop exactly as outlined. And remember, this is just one analyst's opinion. Do your own research, manage your risk appropriately, and never invest more than you can afford to lose. What do you think about this Jasmy setup? Are you going to be watching for that pullback to $0.0139, or do you think we've already seen the bottom? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this analysis helped you understand the setup better, smash that like button and subscribe for more crypto analysis. We break down these technical setups every week, so you don't want to miss out. And hit that notification bell, because in this market, timing is everything, and you want to be the first to know when these setups start playing out. Important disclaimer. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Cryptocurrency investments are highly speculative and volatile. You could lose some or all of your investment. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Always do your own research and consult with a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions. The presenter may hold positions in the cryptocurrencies discussed. This content is not sponsored by any cryptocurrency project or exchange. Trading and investing in cryptocurrencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for every investor.